constraints. Does anyone aware what are the different types of constraints? Anyone?
No.
No worries. First of all, we can see the definition of constraint. In SQL constraints, the definition means we are using especially the constraints, we are going to use the specific rules for the data, and also we are going to limit the type of data that needs to be stored in a particular table. This is the main purpose that we are going to use the constraint. Did anyone get it? Shall I repeat it? The constraints are used for specific rules for a particular data, and also it is going to limit the type of data which we stored into a table. What kind of data which we are going to store into a table, that we are going to decide it. Is it clear? Now
Yes,
it
bro.
comes to the different types of constraint. The first one is the not null constraint. Second one is a unique constraint. Third one is the primary key constraint. Then the fourth one is a foreign key constraint. Then the fifth one is check constraint. Seventh one is the default constraint. Let's go one by one. I'm going to pick the first topic called not null constraint. The not null is nothing but last time we discussed about the NVL, right? Now I'm going to pick anyone. Naveen, what is the NVL function does? Naveen, or else anyone? Praveen?
It replaces a run value.
Yes. For example, in a particular table, if there are any null values, right, then it is going to replace by some
Num-
other value.
number.
Yeah, this what exactly? It's a vice versa. The not null constraint is does it will not allow having any null values in a particular table. It means that we are ensuring that the records which is present in a particular column should not containing a null values. Are you getting my point? If the any of the column in a particular table, there should not be any null values. There should be some other value except the null. Are you getting, guys? The not null constraint, we are ensuring that the records in a particular columns, records in a table in a particular columns cannot having any null values.
Okay, bro.
And also we can have a more than the one not null column in a particular table. We can see how we can define the not null value. Okay, see the syntax. It's a very simple. Whenever basically we are using for creating a table now, that time we can just define it. Let me show you. Let me share my screen. For definition part, everyone understand, right?
Yes, bro.
I'm repeating it again. In a particular table, any of the column should not containing a null value. It should be present in some any other value, okay? Except null, the data should be present in this particular column or table. We are ensuring that there are no null records in a particular table or in a particular column. Create a table. Table name what you can give. Branch ID number. Then I'm going to declare this as a number, not null. Because of every records, we are going to identify on the basis of IDs only, right? What is this particular having a ID number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma, name, varchar 20, comma, you can mention location, where can 30. Is my screen visible for everyone?
Yes, bro.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, the table name called branch has been created. Let's see. Like I clearly mentioned, declared right here, this particular column id having a not null data type should be a not null. Like let me show you how we can see the table. Describe table name. As of now I haven't inserted any value, but I created a table, that the table name called the branch. The branch table having a three column. One is the id, another one is the name, the third column is the location. Right, when we are looking for the value, look here, the column name id, then it is having a not null, then the number. Because why it's coming is the not null. Can anyone, for when it go for the name now, there should be a null. When we are inserting a value, if you go for the name column and the location column, we can insert a null value. But when it comes to the id column, we cannot insert a empty or null value, because I'm clearly declaring it. This is a constraint. This particular column having a not null value, there should be some value. Are you getting?
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Let me show you one example. Tell me the insert syntax. Insert into branch values. I'm gonna take a first one is the id is equal to 1. Okay. Second one, name I can take a Venkat. Location will be a BNG. This will run one row inserted, right? Similarly, I'm going to copy the same thing. I'm not giving any value. I'm just updating a value called it. It won't take because of it should not taking any value now. When we are coming to id, because of I declaring id is equal to this particular column is not null. See, this is throwing an error. Check the statement syntax and specify the missing component. For example, if you go for the id is equal to 2, then I can remove it. Let's try. One row inserted, right? Now select star from branch. Are you getting, guys? There is a id 1 and 2. When it comes to the name, earlier the first, when I'm inserting the value, I provided a name called Venkat. The location will be Bangalore. For the second entry, while I'm inserting the value, I mentioned the id is equal to 2, but wherein the name column I haven't mentioned anything. I kept as a null value. Blank is nothing but by default taking as a null. I haven't provided any particular value. Then the location I given as a Bangalore. Then this query will work. Before this, I tried the giving a name as a Venkat and Bangalore, but ID is equal to nothing, right? Nothing specified. Then it was throwing the error because of we are mentioning the condition called mentioning the constraint is not null. Especially when it comes to the ID column, this column should have a some value. It should not accept the null values. Are you getting?
Yes.
Any
Yes.
doubts? Everyone clear, right? When it comes to the not null constraint, this is a very simple not null constraint. We are ensuring or we are make sure that none of the column, if we are particularly mentioning this particular column is a not null as a constraint, then that particular column should not having any null value. Is it clear?
Yes.
For example, like I will do one thing. Okay, right now drop table branch. So along with the name, right, I'm going to display here as well, not null. Okay, I am just creating a table again. Enter a unique name for a database object. Okay. Enter a unique name for the database object. Modify drop existing object. I can create a subject. Table is created. Okay. Now I'm displaying a table called subject. So it was saying among these column ID and the name having a not null. This is a data type should be a number and the varchar. When it comes to the location, we haven't mentioned anything. This particular column, it still it can accept the null value, but wherein ID and the name, it should not accept the null value. There should be some value we should provide while inserting the value into a table. Is it clear? Like earlier, this particular column is not taken, right? Let me show you here only how exactly it will work. I'm just making changes instead of branch. I'm inserting a first row into the subject table. The record is coming. Now let me show you. As of now, one entry is present, right? Earlier, instead of the subject branch is there, the same syntax is work for us. Now I'm trying to run this query. It won't work because I have declared in the subject table with the column name is also a not null. Here I provided a nothing value is provided. That's why this is not taking it. The not null constraint, it works. There should be some value we should provide while inserting a value into a particular table. If I mention here, then it will take. This row is inserted. Now we can do. Did anyone understand the not null constraint? Hello?
Understand, bro.
Yes, understand.
Please respond yes or no. Like otherwise, like I was in a dilemma mode whether you guys are understood or not. But then shall we move to the next topic?
Okay.
The next topic is unique constraint. We can see the definition of unique constraint. Here also we are ensuring that the values which are present in a particular columns are different. It should not be repeated. And the values which is present in a particular column should be a unique value. It should not be any duplicate entries. Is it clear? The name it's same saying unique is nothing but the records which is present in a particular column. When we are defining, like earlier I defined the ID column, right? This should be a not null. Similarly, we are mentioning this ID after the data type. We are mentioning a unique. Then this ID column, we cannot taking a ID is equal to 1 1 multiple times. It should be only once. It should not be repeated values. I can say it should be a unique values. It should not allow duplicate records. Are you getting, guys?
Yes, bro.
Now
Yes, yes.
I will show you one more example here. So location here instead of this not null here in the location I'm just mentioning it as a unique. Okay, just for your understanding purpose. Table drop. Now I'm creating it here. It's created. Describe a table means it's showing all three columns. But where is the unique is not displaying it here, right? Just a minute. It should take the value as a unique, but it's not taking it, right? Why? When I am entering a value, store inserted, second row inserted. Yeah. Uh, Now let me show you. These two records are there, right? Like I just inserted here. Already we have inserted the ID is equal to 1, the name is Venkat, and the location is equal to Bangalore. Then the ID is equal to 2, the name is Reddy, and the location is equal to Bangalore. Now I'm making it same, keeping it ID is equal to 1. Instead of Venkat, I'm changing it as an Praveen. Actually, when I'm declaring this ID column is equal to unique, then they should not execute because already ID is equal to 1 is existing in the subject table, right? Let's try for inserting this table. It is throwing a error that was a unique constraint violated. It doesn't mean that it is not accepting the value. Instead of this one, same, if we are enter the different ID, then this value will take. One row is inserted. Now look. Is it clear? This is also very simple, guys. Unique constraints is nothing but we are ensuring that make sure whatever the column, if you are mentioning that particular column is a unique constraint, then in such particular column or that particular column should not having any duplicate records. The records which are present in a that particular column should be unique values. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes.
bro.
The third topic is primary key. We can say the primary key is a combination of not null and the unique constraint. Primary key is nothing but uniquely identifying the each row in a table, and it must containing a unique values and it cannot accept the null values. Table can having only one primary key and it consists of a multiple column. Just remember guys, primary key is nothing but it is a combination of not null and the unique constraint. And also the records which are present into the particular column, it should be unique record and it cannot containing any null values, that particular column. If you are defining that but any column should be a primary key, then it cannot be a duplicated. Primary is nothing but taking a reference to the other column, other table. That column should be that particular column value should be a uniquely identified. Is it clear?
Yes,
And
bro.
also one more thing, the one every table at least one primary key should be a mandatory.
సార్ ఇది నల్లు యూనిక్ బదులు ప్రైమరీ వాడితే సరిపోద్ది సార్.
Sorry.
అంటే యూనిక్ నల్ వాడే బదులు ప్రైమరీ వాడితే సరిపోద్ది.
This is a combination of two, na?
ఎస్ సార్, ఎస్ సార్.
The
ఓకే.
not null is nothing but the value undali. There it might be a duplicate value, but it is not removing any duplicate, right? But
ఎస్ సార్.
there must be a some value instead of null value. But when it comes to the unique, it should be a unique value. It should not be a duplicate value, right?
ఎస్ సార్.
Only one entry. If their ID is equal to one, it should not be repeated again with any of the name is equal to ID is one. There should be some other ID instead of one. Is it clear? This
Yes, bro.
primary key
Yes.
containing a unique value and also it cannot containing a null values. This null values comes from the not null and the unique value comes from the unique constraint, right? That's why I call it as a this is a combination of not null and the unique constraint. Similarly, we can declare here instead of unique now, we can mention it here primary key. Okay. Now I'm going to insert the value 1, 2. This will throw the error because of we are applying here unique constraint along with the primary key. As I mentioned, the primary is a combination of both two, right? We cannot take the same values into that any of the column. I mentioned ID column as a primary key. It should be a unique values. It cannot be null value. Definition of primary, right? That's why already ID is equal to 3 I created. Let me show you. 3 and 2 ID is there as of now. Again, I was trying to insert a one more time the ID is equal to 3. That's why it's not showing. It's showing an error. Is it clear for everyone?
Bro, repeat once more, bro.
See, guys, the same syntax in the same table among these three columns I was mentioning because of primary is nothing but what is the definition of primary key? Primary key containing unique value and this particular column should not having any null values, right?
Yes, bro.
First of all, we are declaring already value. There is no null values. We are
Mm.
present in not null value already because of something we are already giving the values in terms of ID column. The second definition which you look for the primary is it should be a unique one. Right now, I just inserted the value is equal to ID is equal to 3 and 2. These two entries, right? For
Yes, bro.
example, if I take this with the same name, changing the ID is equal to 1. Okay. This will take one row is inserted. Let me show you the table results. Right? 3,
Yes,
2, 1 as per a sequence. I will do one more thing. As definition says, this column should be unique, right? The not null is already elementary because we are already giving some values to the ID column. The next condition is there should be unique value. 3, 2, 1 already there. I was trying to give the value is equal to ID is equal to 3. If I try to insert the value, it won't take because it should be unique, right? I already mentioned this column having a primary key.
okay, bro.
Okay.
Bro, it doesn't apply for name and location. If primary key. Only for ID number.
See, guys, I will tell you. ID should be different for any entry. For example, I will tell you if we are going to shopping for KLM shopping in Maratali branch, okay, that was the ID is equal to 1. The
Okay.
name is Praveen, okay. This Praveen again visited a Whitefield KLM mall, that ID is equal to 2. The name is same, right? Praveen only.
Yes,
He,
bro.
he was visited KLM mall in ID is equal to 3 in Hyderabad, in somewhere in Gachibowli. But ID is different, but the name is same, right?
Okay, bro.
Just a minute. Are you getting my point, guys? Is it clear for everyone now?
Yes, bro.
Whenever we
Yes.
defining a primary key, there should be this particular column which we are applying the primary key. That column should be a unique value and it should have a not null value. It should not accept the null values. Okay, there should be some value and then also the unique values. Clear?
Clear, bro.
Okay. Then because of these many things, we are not working in real time experience. Like if you are working in any of the company, these things will create a developer and unlike tech architect while they're creating a table that they will do in the backend. Nothing will comes to our bucket. This is just for your understanding. I'm just telling you the syntaxes, like how they are going to define it.
Yeah, bro. Bro, mainly what commands we will use, bro?
Most of the times in terms of working now, we are using all the joints we are applying, okay, except the Cartesian.
Okay.
Then like there will be next concept called view as well. For that also we are not going to create any view, but we can view the table while using the joining condition, view tables also. Then we are using like all the clauses now. Clauses are also very important.
Okay.
Then we are applying analytical functions, rank, dense rank, right?
Hmm.
That thing. We are applying for the decode function as well.
Okay.
Apart from this, we do have a one more concept called case statement, case and cast.
Okay.
These are the primary.
Yeah, bro. Bro, who is recording the session, bro? I actually Akil was left the
Apart
class.
from this, like these many things now, we are going to also implementing the character functions. There we can use for the length and also in string, substring, NVL function, trim function, whenever we want it. Rarely we are using init cap, but we are using a trim and L trim
Okay.
in string and
We'll
substring.
update
We
we'll update
use
data, bro.
sorry.
Like we'll update the data. Like I mean,
Yeah,
the
we are
developer
using
will do.
all the DDL commands now. We are using each and every commands
Okay.
except the commit and rollback.
Okay. Yeah, bro. Got it.
This is just for your knowledge. I'm just telling in deep. Like otherwise, definition is more than enough, guys, for the constraints.
Yeah, I
But
understood.
you should be remembered now. What is the primary key? Definitely, the question will interview might raise a question. What is the primary key?
Okay.
Then the next topic is foreign key. Foreign
Uh,
key is nothing but
sorry for interruption, bro. Is
mhm.
anyone recording the session, bro?
Told now Praveen is recording, right? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
The next concept is foreign key. The foreign key is nothing but this is a referential to the another table. For example, like last time we are checking now the employee table and then the department table. If there is any of the table having a one primary key, then the second table is having a we are declaring as a foreign key. Like how we are declaring now primary key. Similarly, that particular column we are defining as a foreign key. The foreign key is nothing but it is going to a reference to the primary table. For example, in a primary table, employee table having one primary key, that is the department number. Similarly, for other table, department table having a department number, again, those two columns are matching. This is I'm declaring as a foreign key. When you are joining for these two column, right, this foreign key table going to reference to the primary key. On what basis we are going to join? On the basis of referring a department number, right? This is referring for the primary key. And also the foreign key is used to prevent the action that would be destroying the links between the two tables. If there is a definitely we are going to link the particular column, then only we could able to join the two table, right? And one more thing you guys should remember, the table with the foreign key, having a foreign key, that table you can call it as always a child table. And the table with having a primary key, that particular table we calling it as a parent table. Got it? Always child table is referring to the parent
For
table, right?
sorry, bro.
I'm telling it again. The foreign key is nothing but it is going to reference to the primary table or primary key, if any other table. If we are going to join the two table, right, there should be one primary, one foreign key, then this particular foreign key is going to refer for the primary key which is present into the other table. On that basis, we are going to join a two table. For example, department table having a foreign key. That table we call it as a child table. Remember this word, child table. And the primary key which is having a employee table, that table we call it as a parent table. Always child table is going to reference to the parent table. For example, like I'm a son of Lakshmikant Reddy, right? If somebody asks my identity, I'm just referring to my father. He's my father, right?
Yeah.
Child is always referring to the father.
Okay.
Similarly, foreign key which is having that particular table, that table we call it as a child table. Primary key having any of the table like references, that table we call it as a parent table. The relationship between the child and parent table, that is a referential. Or also we can call it as a foreign key. Clear?
No.
Fine, bro.
This is
Yes.
a purely relationship between the primary and the foreign key. This foreign key is going to give the reference to the primary key which is present in the particular table. On that basis, we are going to identify these two columns are identical, then we can able to use for joining. Basically, they are going to declare whatever the column they wanted, then we are directly using it. Clear?
Yeah.
Bro,
Yes.
in one table, how many numbers foreign keys will be present? Only one or one more than one?
Only one.
Okay, bro.
But there might be one more condition. When it comes to the primary key now, as I mentioned, only one primary key present in a table, right? That we call it as a primary key. There should be a one primary key in every table, right?
Yes, bro. Then foreign key?
Foreign key is also one. Apart from this, one more primary key is there. That is called as the composite primary key. Composite primary key is nothing but if you are assigning a primary key to a multiple column in a single table. Listen carefully. If there is a table, right? For example, we can take it as an employee table. I am defining ID is equal to a primary column. Always, every table, there should be a one primary key. It's a must and should. If we are defining more than one primary key in any other column, more than one column for a primary column, then that we call it as a composite primary key.
Okay, bro.
Somebody will ask you what is the difference between primary and the composite primary key. Primary is having only one primary key in a particular table. If you are defining more than one primary column in a single table, then that we call it as a composite primary key.
Okay. Bro, in foreign key, null values are allowed.
Sorry?
Null values are acceptable in foreign key and in child table.
Uh, Basically, I haven't tried that. Let me show you. Okay. The main purpose of using foreign key, now we are taking a reference to the child table.
Yes.
Sorry, parent
Yes.
table.
Okay, bro.
We need to create a two table. See how we are working. We should not work the foreign key syntax. I think there might be a separate syntax. Let me show you. Drop table if exist. This is I'm defining primary key, right? Let me remove it here. This is not now varchar. I can say references. Before that, we need to mention one more table. Because of when we are referring for the, any of the column to references to other columns, it should be present in a parent table, right? I'm just creating a create table class id number. I'm defining this as a primary key, comma name varchar 20, comma location varchar 30. This table is created. Now we need to enter the value. One, two, three, four. Okay. Four rows are imported. Then here displaying a table called R4 entries are came. Then I'm going to commit. Now varchar you write references. We need to mention the primary column which is present in the other table. That was for class bracket id column. Table subject created. Because of if you are like right now, if there is no primary key which is present into the class table, right? I mention id is equal to number is equal to primary key. If there is no primary key in this particular class table, then when I am creating a table for other subject table, making it a foreign key, references to the class, when this table I'm referring it, it won't be accepted because when you are providing a foreign key, the foreign key tells that it is going to give the reference to the this particular ID from this table. We are looking the value from this particular table and this certain column. That should be a primary key present in another table. Then only this syntax will work. Are you getting my point?
Yes, bro.
See how we are
Yes.
going to match for the relationship between these two tables, right? This syntax, this is a syntax for how to create a foreign key in a table, right? This is a syntax. Like how we creating a primary key, directly we can just mention primary key. But when it comes to the foreign key, defining into the any particular table, this is the exact syntax. We should mention the foreign key, that particular column present in this table, whichever the table you are going to create it. Then that is giving the reference to the which table you are referring it. That table should having the same column with the primary key. That's why I mentioned the other table is a class table. That table I defined as a ID is equal to primary key. I mentioned it is as an ID class. Class is a table, ID is a column. This foreign key ID from subject table references to the class table, column is ID. Clear?
Yes, bro.
Then the next one is check constraint. Check constraint we are using make sure that all the values in a column satisfy the specific condition. If there is any particular condition we want to check, whether for example what we can say, if we are defining this certain column, the name should not be this equal to this or this. If any condition is similarly kind of working, we are it work like a where condition. How we are going to check the particular condition in the where class, right? While creating a table only, they will create a defining as a check constraint for a particular column. I can say, for example, if I ID mentioning the number as the length of this particular column is around 5, then I mention it as a check while the table is created, but when inserting a value into that particular table more than 6, that will not take into the table because it is doing a check constraint. There is a certain condition which we are checking. Already they given the condition is this column should having a length is equal to 6. If you are applying more than 6, it won't work. Is it clear?
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
The last one is we have a default constraint. Why we are using a default constraint? Default constraint, we are used to set a default value for a column when there is no value in us, there is no specified value. And also we are going to add a new record. If there is no value is specified, then that particular column is going to define as a new user. I will show you one example. Better you guys will understand. Let me show you. We need to create a one more table. Create a table. I can create a table as ready. ID number. This I'm giving it as a primary key. It's not required. Just simply I'm giving it name varchar 20. Here I'm defining after 20 na size default. This particular value should display new user. So, comma, then the location varchar 20. Table ready is created. Let me show you. Describe ready. We can see the first ID I mentioned it as a primary key. It should not containing a not null value. Then the name it's taking as a by default. Let me show you when I'm trying to insert the value. Okay, this is not required. Insert the ready value 1 as a Praveen. ID is equal to 2. Then I'm not taking it any value. Okay, directly I'm mentioning it as a third one. Inserting a first value to the ready table, one row is inserted. Next one, another value I'm going to insert. What is showing?
Second one name not you not mentioned.
Just a minute.
You want to put commas.
Yeah, I'm just doing that on. One row is inserted. Now I'm defining a table. Start from why it should coming instead of this. We are expecting a default value is a new user, right? Something goes wrong. ID primary key, the name varchar 20, and then after defining this value, then it's the default value. Whatever we wanted, that we need to discuss it here. Let's try this way. should work actually. This is the syntax of this. It is not updating it here. This doesn't matter actually. Guys, I will check on this. Actually, the syntax is same. I'm gonna pinging this in a group as well. Whenever we're defining a particular column, then the default value, if you just pass on the comment default, then if there is no value in that particular column, if you are mentioning that this particular under the name column there is no value, then by default whatever we are mentioning it, right? For example, as of now I define the new user. This is not the specific condition. Whatever the naming convention you wanted, you can just mention. Instead of new user, you can just mention it as any as well, or not available, not applicable, just new. Any wording that we can just specify, that value should be come instead of null. I'm not sure this is the exact syntax. Let me try and we'll try to explain in the next class for this topic. Why it is not working, let me check out.
Okay, bro.
Basically, this syntax in a particular column, then we can just mention a default whatever the value you want it whenever the null value. Then instead of null, we are expecting the you defined value now. This value should come under here. Is it clear?
Okay, bro.
So
Yes.
this concluding constraints. Constraints will more likely we should just know the concept. The nothing we were applying anywhere else. Okay. These things we are using it from the developer perspective. For as a QA, we should just aware of the concept. Why we are using these many concepts in a theoretically. Okay.
Okay, bro.
Any questions? I'm telling it again from one by one, all the column, all the constraints. Okay. Then we can wind up this call. There are 7 different types of constraints. The first one is the not null. Not null, what we are doing, we are ensuring that in a table, any of the column should not having the null value. There should be some value. That defines the not null constraint. When you go for the unique constraint, we are ensuring that in a particular column should not be a null value. Should not be a duplicate records. It should be a unique values. Okay. The records which is present in a particular column, it should be a unique and it should not be a duplicate record. When it comes to the primary key, third one, primary key constraint, it is a combination of both the unique and the not null constraint. Uh, this primary key is going to uniquely identifying the each row in a table. It must containing a unique values and should not allow the null values in a primary key. Every table is a must and should, at least a one primary key is a must and should. If there is a more than one primary key in a column defined in a single table, then that we call it as a composite primary key. Then the foreign key is nothing but it is going to give the reference to the parent table. Okay, like foreign key which is present in that particular table, we call it as a child table. The primary key holds the table, we call it as a parent table. The child table always going to reference to the parent table. That is the foreign key. Then the check constraint, if we have any certain condition which we are going to apply, making sure that all the values in a column should satisfy the specific conditions. Then the last one, the default constraint. Default constraints are we are going to use the, if there is any null value in a particular column when you are defining as a default constraint, then you should mention the specified values. Then if there is any null entries, then it is going to replacing the null value by whatever the default value which you are assigning into the that particular table. Got it?
Yes, bro.
Any doubts?
As of now, no doubts, bro.
Okay, no need to think too much about the constraint. Okay, just focus on in terms of theoretically and should aware of practically as well. Like if somebody asks how we are going to interrelate, how we are going to defining a primary key, not null in a particular column. Okay,
Okay.
guys, will that works tomorrow? I'm having a clashing with the times with the client calls. I will be fully occupied tomorrow. I will let you know if it's possible. I will take a class on tomorrow. If not, we'll take a class on directly Friday. Will that work?
Okay.
Bro, when
So-
you will confirm that, bro?
Somebody saying something?
That tomorrow class is not having or having when you will confirm, bro? Tomorrow morning?
Naveen, I'm saying now 90% tomorrow no class because of I'm fully occupied with the like continuous call with the client one. This is a month end now. We need to do some activities in terms of audit and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of the people having a doubt side, what is the audit process and how it goes.
Yes, bro.
Please stop recording. I will explain because this is confidential.